It's October, which means it's the best time of the year. The MLB playoffs are back and have not disappointed so far. We started with 12 teams, 4 have already been sent packing, and 8 remain dancing. All 162 games are in the rearview mirror, and it's a whole new season where nothing else matters. Is there going to be another miracle underdog team? Who's built for October, and who's going to crumble? Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Nico Rodriguez, joined alongside Allie Wenskoski and Anthony Desher. So, Allie, we'll start with you. What 2 teams so far have you liked throughout the playoffs so far?
I think it's interesting, Nico. There's some interesting teams in the mix. It's not all the same teams that we've seen in previous years. So the first one I'm going to go with is the Orioles. The baby Orioles, they're such a young team. They're so good, too, and they were so good in the regular season. They had 101 wins, and they clinched the division on their 100th win, which on September 28th, which was huge for them. And this is just coming off 2 years ago. They were pitiful. They were abysmal. They were the bottom of the barrel. They were like the A's that we talk about now. They were lucky that they reached mid-50s in the win column, and they reached 110 losses. And now they're in the 100 win column, so it's a huge turnaround. And they've made some splashes, but so far they're not doing so well in the postseason. They are down 0-2 to the Rangers. But they just have the talent on their side that made a splash in the regular season, but not so great so far in the postseason. And then moving on, I'm going to pick the Twins as my second team. They are just something else. They had a really good game with Pablo Lopez on the mound for them. They are coming out on a victory against the Astros, where they won 6-2 actually, and that was a huge game for them. They were down the series 0-1. Astros took game 1, but they came back roaring with Pablo Lopez's impressive pitching, which he's not exactly an ace. I mean, he's amazing sometimes, but he's not a guaranteed win, and there he came out. And then this was huge just for baseball in general. I mean, if we were on a streak here with the wild cards were all swept, and the division series were looking like sweeps as well until tonight with the Phillies, but instead of that, they came out and they won, meaning that now we have baseball on Thursday. We were looking at no Thursday, no Friday, no Saturday baseball, and in a game where there are 162 games in the regular season, fans want to see their teams playing in the postseason.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that dish were the Texas Rangers, and they're Texas two-step into a 2-0 series lead right now. I mean, what this team has been able to do, they finish the year very streaky. They'll lose a couple games, and then they'll win a couple games, and they'll lose and win, like back and forth like that. But you get them on their hot streak. And in this season, especially early on, they were number 1 in a lot of offensive categories, and it's showing here. Mitch Garver hits a grand slam, traded for IKF. So I wonder how that worked out for both those teams. And you have other guys like Corey Seager, who finished second in the AL batting title. And when you have all these guys working together at once and everything's clicking, you see the damage this Rangers offense can do. That's why they were in first place in the AL West for so long, and a lot of people thought they would run away with that division, even though they did slip. It's just the pitching has been very hurt, and the pitching has been very hurt, especially in the rotation. And in the bullpen, they just can't really hold on to leads. They blew a lot of saves this year, but for some reason, everything is just coming together and working at once. And like I said, when everything is working at once for this team, they are very dangerous, and that's why they blew through Tampa Bay, and now it looks like they're about to blow through Baltimore as well. And in the NL, this whole series is just crazy on my behalf. Just what I think is just the Braves and Phillies, 2 NL East rivals, they don't like each other very much, and it's showing here. The series is 1-1. Phillies just lost tonight. 5-4 was just a heartbreaker for Phillies fans all over the place. Come up to a 4-0 lead, and then they'd fall apart. 5-4 loss. Wheeler was perfect until he wasn't. And it's just, they go out and win game 1, the Phillies. They beat Spencer Strider, a guy who they just really never have the chance to, because he always has their number, and they shut out a very good Braves lineup. And the Braves lineup was dormant until the later innings this time. So this could go all 5 games. I mean, it's going back to Philadelphia. Philadelphia loves to play there. It could change there, but with these 2 teams playing as good as they are, this series might need 100 games to decide a winner.
So, Allie, we'll go back to you. We'll talk championship series. Who do you have going to the NLCS?
So I am picking the Phillies. Sure, you'll be happy, or Anthony, you'll be happy with that one. And the Diamondbacks, who is a bit of a wild card there. Wild card, if you get my reference. But let's start off with the Fightins. Actually, both the Fightins and the Diamondbacks came off to a 1-0 lead in their series. And starting with the Fightins now, though they just dropped a game against the Braves, I think they have what it takes. They have the momentum from last year. They're coming out just like it again, but this time they're not being overshadowed or people aren't overlooking them. They are a real contender, and they have what it takes to go all the way. And when it comes to the series with the Braves, when we talk about the NL East in general, usually if the Mets are good as well, we have a little cycle here where the Mets beat the Phillies beat the Braves, and the Braves beat the Mets. And in that cycle, the Phillies beat the Braves. It just happens over and over again. Somehow the Phillies are able to come on top of the Braves. And so I think if it does go 5 games, the Phillies are going to come out on top. They have the potential that it takes to do that. And then again, with the Diamondbacks, a bit of a wild card here. They are the 6th seed in the playoffs, a wild card team. They did well against the Blue Jays. And I just think that they have what it takes. They're young, they're determined, and in my personal opinion, I think they are the last year Phillies. So no one's taking them seriously. No one thinks they have what it takes. No one's even looking at them on the bracket. But that's what the Phillies were last year, and look what they did. They came out, and they weren't taken seriously till the final few rounds, and they were able to almost get a ring. So I think that's what we're going to see with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and barring any miracles, it looks like the Texas Rangers are going to go on to their first ALCS since 2011. And on the other side, I think the Houston Astros are going to make it as well because they've made the last several ALCSs. And I don't think, that's where their season begins basically because they're always there. It's just when you have these two teams in a Texas Civil War, Houston has their number. They had a 9-4 lead in the series all season long, so they really had that number for the Rangers. But, just these two teams in general, Texas obviously is hot. They seem like they just can't fall apart right now. Sure, Houston loses, but they also have Yordan Alvarez, who hits a home run every at-bat. So you can't count out the Astros just yet, and I'm sure you can't count out the Texas Rangers when they're up 2-0 in a series of a best-of-5.
So, Desher, we'll stick with you here. Let's a little bit further down the road, World Series matchup. Who's in it? Who's making it?
Well, I just mentioned the Astros. I think it's going to be the Astros and the Phillies in a round 2, a little Mortal Kombat style round 2. It's going to happen. And I think the Phillies, even though they lost tonight, I think, like I said, they play better at home. I think they are the best team coming out of the NL in this playoff. They're built for the playoffs. And I think they're going to get another crack at the Houston Astros because we all know what happened last year in the 2022 World Series. Houston beat them in 6 games. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think it's going to be Philly beats Houston in 6 games just because they're upset. They're angry. I'm sure Philly fans are angry because they wanted a ring just as bad as the Phillies did. And I think they're going to get the chance in another rematch to do so.
The Phillies are definitely angry, and they definitely have the momentum to push through and get a championship. But I went a little bit of a different direction. I almost did exactly what you did, but I put the Houston Astros taking on the Diamondbacks, which no one's talking about because, again, it's the Diamondbacks. They haven't even been to a World Series since 2001, but I'm putting them here in 2023. I think that if this happens, the Astros will go back-to-back and win the championship just based on seeding, based on their players, based on everything. The Astros are the better team, but I see the Diamondbacks coming through with all of their momentum that they have that no one's talking about and making it to the World Series. Now, I struggled a little bit deciding this because I see the final 4 that I have picked out in my head, which are the Astros, the Rangers, the Phillies, and the Diamondbacks. All of them could be in the World Series. Once we get to the final 4, if that's who it is, I think that any of them could come through. There could be surprises. The Phillies could come through again. And the Rangers, I just think, are a little sloppy. They almost missed the playoffs right at the end before they swept the Mariners, but I think it's going to be Diamondbacks Houston.
Both of you have interesting takes, and I think if it comes down to this exact matchup, I think it would be Houston. Just they're a powerhouse, and then in terms of Diamondbacks, just lack of an experience. So I hate to say it as a Yankee fan, but I think it's going to be the Houston Astros, and only time will tell. Well, the MLB playoffs are now in full swing, and only time will tell who's going to cement their names into the history books and be crowned the champion. That's it for this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Anthony Desher and Allie Wenskoski, I'm Nico Rodriguez. Have a good night.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night.
For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and follow our socials down below.
And as always, we are
Penn State Sports Night.